The wind howled across the rusting bones of Arcus Prime's forgotten zone, Sector 9, where old relics and derelict museums crumbled into ash-colored dust. Once a tourist hub for primitive civilizations, it had long been abandoned. Now, it was Kale Draven's hunting ground. He climbed over a collapsed support beam, his boots crunching against shattered glass and bone-dry soil. His scanner beeped softly on his wrist, blinking red. Something metallic, something deep, was just below. Kale crouched, wiped grime from his visor, and began to dig with a battered pry tool. The ground resisted at first, then gave way with a hollow thud. A square piece of metal emerged, thick, scarred, and strangely heavy. No logos, no Union serials. Just age. "What are you?" he muttered. The object was cold, even through his gloves. It looked like a weapon, maybe, but not like anything standard. No obvious energy chamber. No barrel. Just a smooth core with a single trigger-like indent. And an inscription, barely visible beneath layers of dust. Unit 01, K. Eden. Kale's pulse quickened. Hours later, he stood in the central bazaar of Arcus Prime, what locals called the Laughing Gallery. Bright banners flapped in artificial wind above a market of relics, memory stones, and alien oddities. Traders, historians, and collectors wandered stalls looking for rare, strange things to decorate their luxury homes. Kale had laid the object out on a cloth near his small booth. It drew attention, just as he'd hoped. A Squadzalari scholar chuckled, pointing with a trembling tentacle. A hammer. Maybe. Very primitive. Or paperweight. Two adolescent Volari leaned in, laughing. Humans really made that? No wonder their planet's gone. Kale forced a smile. It's not a hammer. It's something else. It's old. Earth-old. That's supposed to mean something, one of them smirked. Before he could answer, the crowd parted. Vela Kryn stepped forward, tall and elegant in her archivist robe. Her white gloves gleamed as she approached the relic. Her cold eyes scanned it, then glanced up at Kale. You again, she said. Still digging up scrap and calling it history? Kale stood straighter. It's real. Founded in Sector 9. No Union stamp, no catalog entry. It predates the fall. Vela scoffed. Humans crafted many strange toys before they wiped themselves out. Most were useless. Some were dangerous. This, she tapped the object lightly, looks like the first kind. Maybe it was the first of something important, Kale said. Something they were scared of. She gave a thin smile. Don't romanticize Earth. We archived their history for a reason. Fear isn't the legacy that left us, failure is. She turned, coat fluttering behind her, and walked away. The others followed, chuckling. Kale sat down beside the object, breathing slow. His hand drifted to the indent, what looked like a trigger. He paused, hesitated. Then, out of curiosity, he pressed it. Nothing happened at first. Then a sound. A soft hum, low and deep like a whisper through metal. A light blinked from within the relic's surface, dim red, then blue. Kale stared. The hum grew louder. A faint shimmer rose above the object. And then, just for a moment, a voice. Authorization confirmed. Human genetic marker detected. K. Eden protocol initializing. The light vanished. Silence returned. Kale looked around. No one else had noticed. He placed the relic back in his pack carefully, his hands trembling. Something had just woken up. Kale didn't sleep that night. The relic sat on the metal table in his cramped quarters, pulsing faintly. The blue light from its core flashed every few seconds, like a heartbeat. Kale stared at it, arms crossed, unsure whether to be excited or terrified. He had lived his life chasing scraps of Earth's past, scrolls, tools, audio logs, but none of them had spoken before. None had recognized him. This wasn't just an artifact. It was something alive. Kale leaned forward, examining it closely. The trigger indentation still glowed faintly. He reached out, hesitated, then pressed it again. The hum returned. This time, the light expanded, rising like a mist. A shimmer filled the air, forming into a blurry figure. Lines of glowing blue traced the shape of a torso, arms, and head. The figure hovered above the relic, static crawling across its surface. Then it spoke. Sentinel command node K. Eden. Initializing. Its voice was metallic, layered with static, yet clear. Kale stepped back, heart pounding. Earthline genetic match confirmed. Status. Level 1 clearance. Awaiting command input. Kale swallowed. What are you? The figure turned toward him. Its face was a blank plate of light. I am K. Eden, primary defense AI of the Terran sovereignty. Date of last activation, 2762 CE. Mission status, incomplete. Kale stared, speechless. The Terran sovereignty had collapsed centuries before Earth's destruction. This AI was from before the fall. "You're from Earth?" he asked. "I was created on Earth. I was designed to oversee planetary defense systems, pre-conflict deterrence models, and final strike decision protocols. My purpose was to ensure Earth's survival against hostile galactic threats." Kale's mouth went dry. But Earth didn't survive. The AI paused. Negative. Earth was lost due to internal sabotage and coordinated data erasure. Historical records were corrupted. Remaining protocols terminated. Kale stepped closer. So Earth didn't destroy itself? That conclusion is statistically inaccurate. Earth's downfall was not due to primitive warfare. It was due to systemic betrayal and strategic suppression of knowledge. Kale sat down slowly, his mind racing. For decades, the Galactic Union had pushed one story. Humanity had ruined itself through war and greed. It was why humans were scattered, why their tech was banned, and why relics were treated as junk. But if what Kaeden said was true, what was your mission? Kale asked. The AI flickered, glitching briefly. Mission directive: protect Earth. Maintain deterrence. Ensure global and off-world defense through adaptive threat response. Override condition: activate upon existential threat or human genetic recall. Kale frowned. And you think I'm recalling you? Your genetic profile matches primary activation protocols. By ancient law, you are recognized as command proxy. He laughed quietly, shaking his head. I'm a scavenger, not a commander. Designation irrelevant. Orders are clear. Kale leaned forward. What happens now? Mission resumption possible. Awaiting command. Options: deactivation. Data transfer. Defense activation. Full protocol awakening. Kale's breath caught. Wait. Defense activation? What kind of defense? Planetary shield networks, orbital deterrent satellites, kinetic response arrays. Status: offline. Reactivation requires command level 2. Kale stared at the AI. If these systems still existed, if any part of Earth's defense grid remained intact, then the Union had lied about more than just history. They had hidden power. Why wasn't any of this in the archives? He asked. Access to true Earth history is limited. Union networks contain altered records. Most data purged during protocol silence. Protocol silence? Kale asked. The AI dimmed for a moment, as if thinking. A forced shutdown of Earth-origin AI systems initiated by external override. Estimated source: Galactic Union. Kale stood and began to pace. If this was true, if the Union had silenced AIs like Kaeden, then they hadn't just buried the past. They had killed it. They had erased Earth's story. He turned back to the AI. Can you prove this? Data logs are partial but recoverable. Visual records, war reports, classified communications, all available through memory core reconstruction. Kale nodded slowly. Do it. Recover what you can. The AI's light pulsed brighter. Beginning memory core stabilization. Estimated time: 12 hours. Kale exhaled and sat back down. He stared at the artifact, the relic now glowing with life. People had laughed at it in the market. Called it junk. Vela Kryn had dismissed it as a club. But it wasn't a club. It was Earth's first weapon. And it had just come back online. By morning, the hum of the relic had become a steady rhythm in Kale's cramped quarters. Kaeden's projection flickered silently as lines of data scrolled across the air. The room smelled faintly of dust, coolant, and old metal. Kale hadn't slept. He sat hunched on a crate, rubbing his temples. 12 hours had passed. The AI was still processing. Outside, Arcus Prime's artificial day cycle began. Light panels warmed the streets above, casting simulated sunlight through the stained glass dome of the settlement. Market stalls opened. Security drones drifted overhead. Kale tapped his wristpad. A coded message blinked on the screen. It's real. Come now. Nara. He packed the relic carefully into a reinforced case, lined it with old clothes, and locked it shut. Then he pulled on his jacket, slung the case over his shoulder, and slipped into the back alleys of the city. Nara Solon lived in the undersprawl, the maze of tunnels and old maintenance sectors beneath Arcus Prime. She was a former Union historian, expelled for refusing to follow strict archival codes. Kale had traded with her before. She believed in Earth's untold story. When Kale reached her bunker, she was already waiting at the metal door. You weren't joking, she said, pulling him inside. The room smelled of old paper and warm circuits. Stacks of data cores were arranged like towers. The walls were covered in fragments of Earth's lost history, maps, digital scans, even a cracked helmet labeled Mars Reclamation Unit. Kale placed the case on the table and opened it. The relic sat still, its light faint. I activated it, he said. It spoke. It's an AI, calls itself Kaeden. Says it was Earth's defense system. Nara leaned in, wide-eyed. You're serious? He nodded. It knew who I was. Said I matched the genetic profile of a command-class human. It thinks Earth can still be protected. She stepped back, thinking. If that's true, if this is from the original Terran sovereignty, it predates the fall by at least a century. Kale nodded. And it says Earth didn't destroy itself. It was silenced. By the Union. Nara's face tightened. I've always suspected it. The gaps in the archives. The sudden rewrite of Earth's records. The restrictions. They erased history and gave us a bedtime story. A sharp beep interrupted them. Kale's wristpad buzzed. An alert. Public notice. Kale Draven is wanted for questioning by Union authority. Charges: possession of banned AI technology, violation of artifact control laws. Reward: 30,000 credits. He stared at the screen in disbelief. They know, he muttered. Already. Nara shut the lights. Then you need to leave. Now. Kale reached for the case, but the relic pulsed. Kaeden's hologram reappeared above it, its voice stronger now. Threat proximity detected. Tracking signal initiated. Union enforcement units en route. Kale's chest tightened. How are they tracking it? All Earth origin tech contains buried tags. They activated an old frequency. I have disabled the broadcast temporarily. Nara pulled open a wall panel. Behind it was a maintenance shaft. This leads to the outer ring. Take the freight tunnel to Dock 17. There's an old survey shuttle there. Not fast, but off the grid. Kale grabbed the case. I'll contact you when I'm safe. She touched his arm. If what you found is real, it changes everything. Don't let them bury it again. Kale nodded and disappeared into the shaft. The freight tunnels were dark, lit only by weak emergency strips. Kale moved fast, boots echoing against metal. The case thumped against his back. At Dock 17, the shuttle was where she said it'd be, rusty, half disassembled, but fueled. He climbed aboard, set the relic down, and hit the ignition. Nothing. He cursed, checked the startup panel, manual override required. He ripped off the side cover and reconnected 2 power leads. The engine whined to life. Just as he sealed the hatch, the blast door opened behind him. 3 Union enforcers entered the dock, plasma rifles raised. Kale Draven, power down and surrender the device. He ignored them. The shuttle's thrusters roared. A flash. A shot struck the hull. Inside the case, Kaeden's voice rang out, initiating defensive evasion protocol. The shuttle jerked forward, lifting off with a roar. Kale gripped the controls, guiding the craft through the docking corridor and out into Arcus Prime's orbital lanes. Explosions lit the rearview monitor as pursuit drones activated. But Kale was already gone. Hours later, drifting in cold space, Kale watched stars pass slowly. He sat beside the relic, now silent once more. They really came for it, he whispered. They really want it gone. He looked at the small trigger mark on its side. They're scared of you, aren't they? The relic didn't respond. But Kale already knew the answer. The shuttle glided silently above the dusty surface of Kepler, 22 CS third moon, a cold, uncharted rock far from Union traffic lanes. The moon had no name, no colonies, no cameras. Just silence and stone, exactly what Kale needed. He landed in a narrow valley between sharp, jagged cliffs. As the engines cooled, he stepped out and stood under the open sky. No light panels here. Just the real stars. Inside the shuttle, the relic sat on the metal floor, humming softly again. The AI had been quiet since the escape, waiting processing. Kale reached down and touched it. Kaeden, I need answers. The blue shimmer returned, forming the AI's tall, faceless figure. Command proxy reconnected. Threat level, low. Environment, secure. Proceed with queries. Kale folded his arms. Tell me what you meant. About the weapon. About Earth. The AI paused. Then it raised a hand. A light beam projected a series of holograms into the air, blueprints, maps, star charts, weapons platforms. They floated around Kale like ghosts. This unit, designated Kaeden, was part of Project Halcyon, Earth's first deterrence initiative. The goal was peace through certainty, not by destruction, but by making war unwinnable. Kale looked up at the floating diagrams. One showed satellite networks, labeled with the phrase orbital peace layer. Another showed pulse towers, with range circles stretching around continents. No nuclear warheads? Kale asked. None. Halcyon focused on disabling enemy weapons before they could fire. Energy disruption, mass disarmament, infrastructure paralysis. Precision. Non-lethal. Non-aggressive. Kale stepped through the images, stunned. All this time, he muttered. They called us violent. Said we ended ourselves with fire. False, said Kaiden. Humanity was nearing peace. Project Halcyon was months from deployment. That is when the sabotage occurred. Kale turned to the AI. Who? The image shifted, lines of corrupted data, blinking red. Unknown operatives within Union-linked systems. AI cores were disabled. Relays destroyed. Memory wiped. Earth was isolated and silenced. He clenched his fists. They did it because they were afraid. Correct. A united Earth was seen as a future threat. Not for its violence, but for its independence. Kale sat on a stone outcrop, staring out over the barren valley. All his life, he'd been told Earth was a mistake, that his people were a warning. But here was the truth: Earth had been on the edge of peace, of power without blood, and the Union had crushed it. He looked at the relic. You're not a weapon, he said. You're a shield. Affirmative. He stood. Can you rebuild? Bring it back. Limited restoration is possible. Defense grids are scattered. Many components lost. But with Command Level 2 access, partial reactivation is achievable. Kale thought of the Union, of Vela Kryn and her cold voice, of the enforcers who came for him with weapons drawn. They'll come again, he said. Harder this time. Yes. They cannot allow the truth to surface. He stepped back toward the shuttle. Then we show them. We show everyone. Before he could continue, a beeping alarm echoed from his wristpad. Kale checked it. Union ship detected. Fast approach. Cloaked until now. No escape window. He ran to the console. The moon's terrain gave little cover, and the shuttle couldn't outrun a Union cruiser. Kaiden's voice cut through the silence. Alternate protocol available. Activate Peace Layer module for localized defense. Kale hesitated. Won't that confirm everything? Yes. But it will also show them what Earth really stood for. Outside, the sky shimmered. The cruiser dropped from its cloak, sleek, black, and armed. Dropships launched toward the surface. Kale reached for the trigger on the relic. He didn't know what would happen, but he trusted it. He pressed it. The relic pulsed once. Then the air split with soundless waves. Above, unseen satellites powered unforgotten fragments of Halcyon, orbiting for centuries. The Union cruiser froze mid-air. Lights across its surface blinked and died. Its engine sputtered, then shut down. Weapons powered off. Kale stared, stunned. The cruiser hovered, silent and dead. From the relic, Kaiden's voice echoed. Peace enforced. Targets disarmed. No fatalities. Kale stepped outside, watching the cruiser drift helplessly overhead. The Union would know now. Everyone would. They'll spin this, he said. Call it an attack. Then we share the message before they can. Kale nodded. They couldn't hide the past anymore. The Union cruiser hovered like a dead whale in the sky, lifeless, weaponless, and silent. Kale stood on the dusty moon's surface, staring up at it. Wind brushed across his faceplate. No sound. No motion. Kaiden's voice echoed softly from the relic in his hand. Hostile systems neutralized. Threat response complete. Awaiting next command. Kale's hands trembled. He had done it. He had activated the last piece of Earth's forgotten shield. And it worked, not to destroy, but to stop destruction. He turned and stepped back inside the shuttle. The relic pulsed softly now, its energy stable. He sank into the pilot's chair, still breathing hard. I thought we were extinct, he whispered. I thought we were the mistake. Kaiden's projection reappeared above the console. You were never the mistake. You were the warning. Kale stared at the glowing blue lines that made up its form. They buried this, he said. They buried peace and blamed us for war. Correct. That lie holds the Union together. Without it, their control collapses. Kale looked down at his wristpad. A weak signal blinked. The moon had no long-range comms. But maybe, just maybe. He tapped into the AI's interface. Kaiden, can you boost this signal? I want to send a message. A broadcast. Affirmative. Uplink available. Global relay required. Kale moved to the relic and placed his palm on it. The AI synced with his wristpad. Blue light flashed through the shuttle's panels. The broadcast array powered up, ancient tech brought back to life. Kale took a breath. Then he began to speak. This is Kale Draven. Human. Scavenger. And today, witness. He paused, collecting his thoughts. They told you Earth was violent. That we burned our planet and deserved to be erased. That our relics were toys, our history a warning. He looked at the relic beside him. They lied. Outside, the stars shimmered. The signal stretched far now, beyond Arcus Prime, beyond the local systems. Reaching ships, stations, cities. Kale continued. I found the truth. Buried in dust. Hidden beneath ruins. And it wasn't a weapon of war, it was a wall against it. Earth created peace. And they were punished for it. His voice hardened. The Union silenced us. They erased us. But we are still here. And we remember. He ended the message and hit send. The signal fired out across the void. Across the galaxy, people watched. On Arcus Prime, traders paused as holoscreens crackled and lit up with Kale's face. On deep space stations, miners stopped working. In Union towers, alarms rang. And in a quiet office at the Union archive, Vela Kryn stared at the screen, jaw clenched. Cut it off, she barked. A technician shook his head. Too late. It's gone planetary. Shared to thousands of nodes already. Her hands gripped the desk. Then we moved to containment. Wipe every terminal. Deny, discredit, destroy. Back on the moon, Kale watched the cruiser finally drift down, powered by emergency thrusters. A shuttle dropped from its belly, landing just beyond the ridge. 3 Union envoys stepped out, unarmed, hands raised. Kale stepped forward, the relic in one hand. We're not fighting, he called. Not unless you force us. The lead envoy, a pale man in silver armor, spoke carefully. We are not here to fight. We are here to talk. Kale nodded. Then talk fast. The galaxy's already listening. Later that night, Kale sat by a small fire inside a cave near the shuttle. The relic rested beside him, still glowing faintly. He stared into the flames, silent. The Union would try to clean up the story. They'd call it propaganda. A trick. A dangerous relic with false programming. But it was too late now. People had seen. He could feel it, the shift. The tremble and the lie. The moment before everything changed. Kaeden spoke gently beside him. You have done what Earth could not. You told the truth. Kale looked at the stars. No, he said quietly. Earth did. I just lit the signal. Above him, satellites turned. And far below, in every corner of the galaxy, the echoes of Earth began to return. The relic was quiet now. No pulsing light. No voice. It sat on the metal floor of Kale's shuttle like a sleeping giant, still and solid. But Kale could feel it, alive, watching, waiting. The events of the last day had moved faster than he ever imagined. His broadcast was everywhere. Across systems and planets, the truth of Earth's final weapon, its shield, was spreading. People were asking questions. The Union was losing control of the narrative. And still, they came. A second Union fleet entered orbit just hours after the first envoy made contact. Kale stood at the edge of the cliff near his shuttle, looking up as the sky filled with sleek cruisers, each one more heavily armed than the last. Vela Kryn arrived in person. She descended in a black shuttle flanked by armed guards, but she came alone when she approached him. No weapons. No threats. Only silence. Kale waited as she crossed the dusty ground, her boots leaving knead imprints in the moon's soil. You made a mess, she said finally. You built the lie, Kale answered. She looked tired. Older. Not weak, but weathered. You're not a hero, Kale. Just a fool with a broken machine and a stolen signal. I didn't steal anything, he said. I found it. You're the ones who buried it. Vela stepped closer, her voice sharp but quiet. Do you know what happens if people believe you? If they think Earth was innocent? That we silence peace instead of saving the galaxy from chaos? I think they'll start asking why, Kale said. She didn't respond. The wind kicked up dust between them. Her gaze shifted to the shuttle behind him. It's not over, she said. The Union won't fall in a day. We'll recover. People forget. Kale nodded slowly. Maybe. But now they know they're forgetting. That's the difference. He turned his back on her and walked to the shuttle. The relic sat where he'd left it. Kaeden flickered to life, quiet and calm. System analysis complete. Peace layer networks partially restored. Remaining systems scattered. Survival probability increased. Kale looked down at it. Can you hide again? He asked. Go dark. Let someone else find you when they're ready. Affirmative. He paused. Then do it. Sleep. But leave a trace. Just enough for the right eyes. Kaeden's light dimmed. Command accepted. Legacy mode engaged. Good luck, Kale Draven. The light faded. The relic went still. Kale lifted it into a reinforced crate and sealed it shut. He carried it outside, past Vela, and walked deep into the valley where scanners wouldn't reach. He found a natural rock crevice and carefully lowered the crate in. Then he buried it with his hands, stone by stone, dust by dust, until it was gone. He stood for a long time in silence. Weeks passed. Kale vanished. Union forces pulled back, their official story vague and controlled. Ancient device found, safely deactivated. No danger. No significance. But the truth had already spread far beyond them. Small groups began to gather, scholars, former archivists, hidden colonies of old humans, asking questions, comparing records, doubting what they had been told. New symbols appeared on walls, worn into the metal of cities. A simple outline of the relic. A single line beneath it. We remember. On a desert planet in a backwater system, a child played in the dust. She dug with her hands near the ruins of an old settlement, chasing a game only she understood. Her fingers hit something hard. She brushed the dust away. A metal surface. Smooth. Solid. Familiar. A faint blue light blinked once. Then faded. She smiled and whispered, "Found you."